Now we're going to go on to our final speaker, and I'll let Catherine introduce the next speaker.
Hey, thank you, Erica. That was a really fine presentation. So our final speaker this evening is going to be Mike Peters. And Mike is going to be telling us about his 3 favorite garden tools. And maybe there'll be time for a few more. So Mike found that he always gravitated toward the natural areas, and as when he was growing up, and just really that's why he fell in love with landscaping and gardening. So he now owns and operates Sustain O Scapes, which is a regenerative ecological landscaping company that brings civilization and nature together in a way that benefits both. And he's a member of the Willamette Valley Regenerative Landscape Coalition. He's a collector of unique edible and medicinal plants and perennial vegetables, and also those useful tools that bring them to life. So, Mike, are you ready?
All right, can you see and hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, good. My connection's a little bit unstable, so hopefully we're able to go through for the full 30 minutes. But yeah, that's basically me. I've been doing landscaping for about 10 years. I work a lot with my hands, and the things that allow me to create the things that I do are definitely tools. You can see a couple of them behind me. I've got way more scattered throughout the shop, but we're just going to jump right in. And I'm actually going to edit some stuff here. Yeah, okay. So, gonna point you down right there. So let's actually start off with some digging tools. So this here is a Magna Grisha Hoe. Forgive the broken handle, broke recently. It's really hard to find a 54-inch handle. Now this hoe, I often nickname the sod slayer. It's got these deep tines. They also have ones with wider tines for sandy soils. But basically what happens is you pierce it into the soil and you pry up a section of the soil, and then you chop it out. And then you use the tines to lift it up and set it in a pile or set it in a wheelbarrow to move it away. So the entire purpose of this thing is to remove sod. And it's so easy, even grandma and grandpa can do it. With that long handle and those nice long tines, you get a lot of leverage. Now, this thing is not meant for prying, but it can mix and incorporate things like amendments into looser soils. All right. We're gonna have a Pulaski. Now, some of you may recognize this as a firefighting tool. This thing is half axe, half adze. Now, an adze is not a hoe. It's not meant for weeding anything out. That thick piece of metal with that sharpened angle is meant to break into hard ground and loosen it up in order to work the soil. Now, I use this a lot on planting into hard clay soils, and that's part of the regenerative aspect. We're going into like degraded landscapes, new construction where the soils aren't that great, it's compacted, and this thing is a lifesaver. Rather than stabbing at it with a shovel for an hour to plant a 1-gallon plant, this thing can open it up and create a hole very quickly in about a minute or two. Excellent tool, keep it short. It's also really good chopping roots and such. All right, next on, we're going to go to the pruner. So now this right here is the female end. This is the handle that you put into it. This is actually, let me correct myself. This is the male end that goes into the female end right there. So this thing slides right in. Sorry, I wish you could see that a little bit better, but anyways, this tool is literally meant for bamboo, for digging up and dividing like thick perennials, grasses, it's exceptional for. Same thing with ferns. You can see that shiny edge right there. You probably see a shiny edge down here as well. This is nice and sharpened. I just sharpened it yesterday. It's meant for cutting through roots, cutting through hard soils, and it's also a very heavy duty pry bar. This thing weighs about 30 pounds on its own. Bamboo nurseries cannot get enough of this tool from New Zealand. It also comes with a few other female attachments, one for tamping ground, one for breaking ice and chipping tile off, as well as one for pounding posts into the ground. I'm just gonna lift this up a little bit more. Oh. Side. Okay, now this is seriously the workhorse in my landscaping company. This is a hory. So this one here has markings on it. Hopefully you can see that all right. There we go. For the inches, it's got a twine cutter there, and it's got this lovely serrated edge. Hopefully you can see that all right. But anyways, this thing is excellent. I use it for opening holes for planting. Seriously, stick it in the soil, pry it back, plop in a 4-inch plant. Super easy. That serrated edge is excellent. Like you're cutting down your grasses or your perennials to put it to bed for the winter, or to chop and drop it while after it's gone dormant. You grab the bunch and you just use that serrated edge and saw it off, set it aside, put it in your weeding bucket, whatever. It's also excellent, stick it in the ground, pry up taprooted weeds. For $20, this tool is absolutely invaluable for me. It gets used more than anything else in my landscape. You have to have one gardening tool, this is it. And you're probably, what on earth does he have a bucket for? Why does it have soil, a pot on top? Well, this here is a Bulldogger. So let's get that tightened on there. The entire purpose of this thing is to make it really easy so you can plant bulbs and even 4-inch pots. I use this a lot when I have soft soil that I'm planting a couple hundred bulbs or a few hundred 4-inch perennials or ground covers. I just, put it on the low setting, go in there, raise it up and down. Hopefully get a little bit of a better view for you. Yeah, so that's opening up a nice little hole in there. Makes it super easy. All right, set this one aside. Hope I'm not moving too fast here. Halfway through. 4-inch pots, really easy, fit in that hole. Okay. I'm just checking my notes here. All right, so let's move on to irrigation. Right here, a lot of you are very familiar with drip irrigation. You've got your supply tubing and your connectors for your drip irrigation. The thing is, it's really hard to punch in these little tiny holes. This pocket punch is absolutely invaluable. It speeds up the process so much, makes it so easy to punch it in. Slide it over the tubing, press it in with your palm. You got a hole right there. Very easy to slide these in and make your drip irrigation fittings. Another additional piece, these are screw lock couplers. So you can see it's got this, I guess you call it a screw on the end. Stick the barb coupling right in there, wiggle it in, and then screw it on tight. This is absolutely excellent for when you're moving around your drip irrigation a lot. And you want more of a modular system that you can, take this out, maybe add a T on there, or you have a 3/4 inch female for a faucet fitting. It's excellent. Now comes time to undo it. Just unscrew it. Comes right off. Very easy. Not recommended for regular repairs from nicks and cuts from shovels and whatnot. These are very pricey. Compression fittings are much better for that. All right. Let's see here. We're also gonna go more into the realm of the DIY for those of you that like to build your own patios and such. So now this thing is called a zip level. It's an alternative to a laser level or your standard bubble level. Open it up and it has this little computer attached to a hose. Now what this is a charged gas line. And as you can see, so you zero out your area and you set it at different heights and it'll beep when it's found a stable point. This is extremely useful when you're working by yourself to create a level surface or to establish a grade. And the thing that really sets it apart is, unlike a laser level, you don't need to have line of sight. You can actually go around the corner and work on the other side of a house or behind some trees where the laser wouldn't normally be able to reach. This thing also does multiple calculations, and it's for the same cost as a laser level. For anybody that's interested in making a purchase for a leveling system, the zip level is amazing. It also comes with a little unipod that you screw onto the bottom of that so that you don't have to bend over and set it down and pick it up and it. You can just set this down and find the exact point. On here. Right. Finally, talk about the recovery ring. You attach it onto the vehicle into ballpoint hit receiver. This here, a brush grubber. So the whole purpose of this is, say you're pulling out a tree or a small stump, you put it on there. These teeth, they will spin, but more importantly, they grab. Now, with this scissor mechanism, the harder you pull, the harder it holds. This thing is absolutely excellent. I've used it a number of times, pulling out, say, holly trees that are very difficult to deal with, that are growing through the middle of an azalea bush. Very difficult to deal with. And instead of poisoning it, we can actually grab it and pull it straight out by the roots. It will strip sometimes. That's okay. I usually, if it's beyond the point that we can try again to pull it out, I usually let it grow another season and then I try it again, or I dig down and try to grab the root. Come along. So it's a gear and pull system, and basically what it is it pulls in that cable. This thing is amazing. I've used it to move 4,000-pound pieces of concrete for a patio, all sorts of wonderful things, and you can even set it up to a point that it has essentially double leverage. It's you create a pulley system with this. Clip this back onto a point here, and it is absolutely excellent. if you're pulling heavy stuff or you're manipulating heavy objects, this thing is a true treasure to have. And combined with the receiver and that brush grubber, you know, you can pull out just about anything, which is fantastic. I realize maybe not everybody is doing that, but for those that like to get their hands dirty, tackle the heavy jobs. We've got, looks like about 4 minutes left. I guess we can quickly go over how to sharpen something. So here's the hoary that I typically use at work. This is a carbon steel one. That means it gets sharper, it dulls faster, and it's prone to rust. So there's a couple of things to do. So rust is often caused by moisture contacting the blade. Now oil, for example, this is camellia oil. I'm sure you're not going to be able to see that with how whited out or washed out that picture is, but this is camellia oil that I got from Down to Earth, and you can just put a couple of drops on there, spread it around, nice and easy. That will definitely preserve it when it's put away for a long time. You want to be careful of the sharp edges there. And then as far as files go, I find that a diamond file works really well. There's that style as well as this style. This is the diafold from DMT, Diamond Machine Technologies. You know, and you find your primary edge, that shiny spot, and you kind of match that. A good trick to use is to put a Sharpie right on that edge and then swipe it off, and you will find kind of that sweet spot where you're wiping it all off, all that Sharpie off in one go. And then you go to the other side and you should feel a little bit of raised metal. That's called a burr. Once you have that, you know that you've taken it to a fine enough point that that metal has folded over. And then you go on the opposite side and wipe it off. You can do the same thing with, say, a pair of pruners. Again, we're looking for this shiny side, that cutting edge right there, and then select like your coarse or your fine, sharpen it, keep it perpendicular, just like so, and then go over to the other side, put it flat against it, swipe it off. Really super simple. Now, if you're storing it for a while, you know, you can use the oil. There's also Felco makes a 980 spray, which is a lubricant and a preservative. Just give it a couple of spritzes on there, and then it will actually preserve it nicely. I do that with my slammer and my Pulaskis when I'm putting them away for an extended period of time. Super easy. Your tools will appreciate it for sure. And yeah, it's a easy way to maintain it. And every edge that you need to sharpen, whether it's a hoe or the slammer or a Pulaski or your kitchen knife or scissors, it's that exact same process. Match that angle, swipe it off, get that burr, go to the other side, take it off. If you've got two angles, you want to get both sides. And that is pretty much all I have.
Thank you, Mike. And I think before we begin our question and answer session, we just want to remind everybody that our summer celebration event will be continuing tomorrow afternoon from 2 to 4 p.m. And we'll have 3 additional talks on carefree fruits and cover crops, and on food preservation and safety, and on propagating your ornamental plants. So if you're interested in any of these topics, register in advance, and then and the registration for that link will be posted in the chat box. So we don't want you to miss that for tomorrow afternoon. So thanks, Mike. And now we'll turn you over to Juliet.
Thanks. I definitely agree with you, Mike. The hoary knife, I love that. I use that all the time. It looks like you've got some great tools in that workshop of yours. We do have some questions. mostly on names of some of the tools you were using. One that's asked, are the names of these tools written somewhere?
They'll have to elaborate a little bit, like written on the name of the tool.
No, I think she's asking if there's a list of all the tools that you went through this evening.
I can definitely email it to you know, to the organizers, and you know, we can distribute that. That is not a problem.
Okay, that would be great. I think people are very interested in some of these names. There is a question about the name of the bamboo tool that you used.
Yes, that's called the slammer. Think slide hammer, because that is exactly what it is. It's from New Zealand. It's about $300. If you're dealing with bamboo, like heavy running or clumping bamboo, or even big grasses like pampas grass, and even like the Carl Forsters that have, and miscanthus, that have really established, and they're, you know, they're huge. They're 5 feet around. You know, I've broken shovels and digging forks on them. The slammer is definitely the tool for it.
And also, what is the name of the tool you use for digging hard soil?
Oh, for digging hard soil, I would say that is the, I'm pretty sure they're talking about the Pulaski here. You know, that this adds end excellent for that. Yeah, there's also an additional one that I thought about right behind me. It's called the broad fork. So this thing, you literally stand on it, and it has these 4 huge tines, and then you back on it and you pry open hard soils. It's a no-till gardener's dream, really. It doesn't mix the soil, doesn't mess up the soil profile. It doesn't ruin the particle sizes like a rototiller can have, creating the hard pan that you typically have with tilling systems in agriculture. It is a good workout, but it's very easy to use. It's just leaning back with body weight.
Another person is asking again for the name of the sharpening tool that you used.
Oh yes, the sharpening tool. So let me see. We've got this guy. So this is a diafold, D-I-A fold from DMT. This is excellent. You're probably going to want the blue and red one. Blue is coarse, red is fine. This one, this is a Japanese one. This is the one that I take every single day to work, and I sharpen my my Felcos, my pruners every day. I even touch them. Idea the name of this, just look up Japanese diamond file. Probably find something like this. The key is this is really long and really narrow, so that I can easily get it in between my the blade and the anvil, versus this style is very big. I mean, it still works as well, but I just have a preference for Cool Merchant. They shut down a couple of years ago.
Somebody's asking what the name of your company is again.
Oh yes, the name of the company is Sustain O Scapes.
Sustain O Scapes. And we have various people thanking you and telling you that this talk reminds them of how much we appreciate our landscapers.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a passion of mine. You know, my profession, we're often the stewards of the earth within our urban environment, and you know, for us to take care of it, you know, and ultimately take care of you, our customers, as well. You know, it's nice to be appreciated as well.
There's also someone thanking you and for all the new interesting tools that they wish they had known about earlier for some of their home projects, but they will be useful in the future.
Yes.
So thanks for that.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So I think that's all the questions we have, unless we have any others to put in the chat box. I think that's it. So thank you, Mike.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, so we thank all of our speakers this evening and all of you who joined us. And we certainly hope that you tune in tomorrow for some more exciting talks. So unless there's any other questions, I think that is the end.